Now, for more on this, let's speak to Rural and Farm Workers Development Organization Executive Director Billy Claassen. We also have the Transvaal Agricultural Union, or the TLU for Gauteng, the chairperson of that union, Henry Kombrink, and Divisional Commissioner for Visible Policing and Operations, Lieutenant General Maropeng Mamoteti. Send us your comments, of course, then you can be part of this conversation. You can do it on WhatsApp, that's 072-110-5584. You can also call us on 010-594-6010. We'll be trying to take your calls, your comments, your suggestions and thoughts then over the next hour or so, over the next 40 minutes or so, actually. You can also engage with us, of course, on X. It's at Newzroom 405. Let's get started with this conversation then. To my panelists, thank you so much for the time this evening. Really appreciate it. Billy Claassen, perhaps let me start off with you as Executive Director then of Rural and Farm Workers Development Organization. The government says stock theft decreased significantly. What is your sense of things on the ground? Is that really the case? Is this your biggest priority?
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers, and thanks for having me. You know, we always have said and we have maintained that farm workers are the most marginalized and at-risk workers in communities in South Africa. Farmers will always protecting themselves and secure their homes on farms, but farm workers will stay as it is without any security on some farms. On stock theft, we are in my area, in the Western Cape, especially in the northern parts of the Western Cape, there's a lot of stock theft, yes. But not really with us, because most of the farms in our area is fruit farms, wine farms, and also your table grape farms. So I really think that sometimes in the environment that we live in, that we need to take hands as a community, as rural communities, as farm worker communities. And sometimes it is very hard for some other people to understand that and to take hands with farm workers or farm worker organizations, whether it be NGOs or labor unions, because they always, farmer associations and farmers themselves will always see us as a enemy, as their enemy. And we need to take hands and work together to protect our innocent people living in our areas, farm workers.
Yeah.
Farmers,
so Billy, what is the actual or the big security issues then that you're currently facing? If we're including police in all of this, the Minister of Police has been speaking about this. What is exactly then the security issues that you yourselves are facing?
Like in our areas, it is your daily things like stabbings and also murders on farms and those kind of things. And this is an issue where I really think, and we have speak about this for long, and I have a debate with AfriForum and them also. They must come out and tell us what is a farm murder. How do they define farm murders? What is farm murders? Because in my area, there was now just recently a farmer was been killed. We don't know who killed him, and that is classified as a farm murder. Just after that, a farm worker was killed and raped on a farm by someone, and the person ran away. And I really want to challenge the minister also here and the police. They must stop with this racial trend of investigating things, because when the farmer was killed, a team from Cape Town, from the provincial office, came and investigated the crime. But when the farm worker was killed, a team of the Piketberg police detectives, they went to investigate this crime.
Yeah.
These kind of things need to stop. Crime affects us all, and we need to unite in the fight against crime.
Couldn't agree with you more, and I think this is why it's so important for all of it to be relevant. Just also a reminder as well that the Ministry of Policing, of course, admittedly, the office then of Senzo Mnchunu acknowledging receipt of a list of farm attacks that was submitted indeed by AfriForum. So it would be interesting indeed, as you said, to really verify exactly what these farm murders were, how they're being investigated, etc. Let me perhaps ask Henry Kombrink, to ask you, sir, regional chairperson at TLU South Africa as well, then, what is it that you're getting on the ground? Would you agree then with Billy Claassen that those are the key issues? It's not necessarily stock theft, which is prevalent, but that the murders are indeed the big ones? Sorry, Henry, I'm not Henry Kombrink, I'm not sure if I can actually hear you. Perhaps you're a little bit muted. Apologies there. Henry, I'm not sure if you can hear us.
Yeah, 545. Yeah.
All right, let's. It seems we do have General Marupeng as well, Muteti, joining us there as well. So we'll try and get this conversation as well. General Marupeng, wanted to ask, can you hear us by any chance? And perhaps we can talk about just what it is you're seeing on the ground, because you're talking about visible policing. That has to be quite important right now as well. Are there sufficient community members working with you in trying to get this right?
Okay. Good evening to yourself and good evening to your viewers at home. Let me just start by indicating that as South African Police Service, one of our mandates is to secure and protect the inhabitants of South Africa and their property. And that includes the rural communities, which is farmers as well as farm workers. But now going to the issues around the visibility, yes, we have, to a large extent, made an impact in terms of visibility. Though we are having constraints in terms of resources, but with the Operation Chanela, we have seen a lot of things happening. We have seen the decrease in most of the categories of crime. But maybe coming to an issue of how do we communicate or cooperate with the community through this rural safety strategy that we have developed. There is a lot of cooperation that was enhanced. We have all the relevant stakeholders that took this strategy into their hands also to make sure that we deal with the issues of crime. So we have the neighborhood watch, we have the farm workers, we also have the forums that are sitting on the ground level, local level, that are dealing with the coordination part of it. Of course, the CPF plays a very important role in terms of them being able to be our eyes and ears. There is a cooperation between ourselves and various stakeholders, including the community, that I can offer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
General, we're going to actually get to that, I think, a little bit more, because there's so many aspects to that. And Mr. Kombrink, I haven't forgotten you. I think we were just struggling a little bit with your audio. We're going to just take a very short break for now then. We're going to come back and dissect this a little bit further, because getting the policing forums to work with the farming communities as well, and trying to ensure that there's a symbiotic relationship, a relationship that kind of works, is going to be very important. We're back with that for you right after this. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining us then. We are still talking just about rural safety amid farm attacks and some concerns in and around that. On the line then, we do have the Rural and Farm Workers Development Organization Executive Director, Billy Claassen. We're trying to still fix the connection then with the Transvaal Agricultural Union's Gauteng Chairperson, Henry Kombrink. As well then, we do have Divisional Commissioner for Visible Policing and Operations, Lieutenant General Marupeng Mamoteti, who joins us then. As well, we have said that you can share your thoughts, your comments, any conversations, questions as well that you may have. Put that on WhatsApp 072-110-5584. Call us on 010-594-6010. Engage with us on X at Newzroom405. Let's go back to you, Lieutenant General Marupeng Mamoteti. What is really needed here to get this right? You have spoken just before we went to the ad break, just around how many different forums, the ability ultimately to communicate and speak to communities a little bit better. Is there a way to do this more? Because of course we're still seeing it happening, and the question mark is going to be around whether it's getting any better. What is it that you need?
Thank you once more. I think what we need to do is to continue enhancing on the partnerships that we are having with the various stakeholders. Like we are having now a meeting which was arranged by the Office of the Minister himself, where he's going to be engaging with the stock theft unit commanders as well as the stakeholders, so that we can see how far are we supposed to go in terms of us being able to deal with the issues of crime that are affecting the rural communities. The cooperation that is required is very essential, and partnership We know we might not have enough resources because of the resource constraints. We still need the partnership that we're having. We have partnered with also the private sectors in a form of E2s, which are the security companies, which also are assisting us. So we must continue partnering, continue communicating, continue reviewing the strategies that we are having so that we can be able to get the results that we want.
So it's not necessarily an issue of boots on the ground then, or people on the ground. It's just the coordination between all of those. Is that correct?
It talks also to the boots on the ground, because like I'm saying, we don't have enough, but with the little that we're having, we must be able to make an impact. But when we're talking about what else are we supposed to be doing, the other strategy that the minister also is passionate about is around the technology, because we'll not have enough personnel all over, but through the technology, we can be able to do something. So that is another approach that we are also looking into. What type of technology can we be able to implement to address the issues of crime in the rural areas?
Billy, what are your thoughts? After hearing all of that, do you see some of that coming to the fore?
You know, farm workers are also like in citizens of this country. Sometimes farm workers don't get the service from the police they are entitled to. And let me speak about things that happened in my area. And I many times sent WhatsApp messages, emails, and stuff to the Minister of Police, the Deputy Minister of Police, the generals, whether it is the provincial or the National Commissioner. I've sent messages to them about when things happen, when farm workers are on the receiving end of crime in South Africa or in the Western Cape, especially in the Western Cape. They are struggle to get the service from the police. They are struggle to get help from the police, especially when, in my cases, when farmers are the let's say the culprits or the people that overstep the line, then the police don't want to interact, and these things needs to stop. I heard what the general have said, and I also want to bring in here something for the police also. They cannot give this general bakkies and stuff to the police to drive in our rural areas, especially in your Van Reinsdorp area. And they don't even have decent bakkies to drive the Gifberg mountain or the mountains areas and stuff. In our rural areas, Glen William in that areas, they have bakkies that is not suitable for the area where they are operating. They need also to look at that. We need to take hands. Yeah. We need to speak about the shortcomings of the police and how they can help us and to assist us and to make to help us fight crime, so to can make us a better place to live and work in, our environment a better place to live and work in. We need to help each other.
We have a caller as well then on the line, Answer from Polokwane, who's joining us as well now. Answer, just what is it that you were perhaps looking to comment on particularly, or your question?
No, I just wanted to I've heard the general, the police general, mentioning that they do have challenges when it comes to resources. But now we don't have that being the case in most cases, especially when farmers are involved. But this is usually a concern, or rather an excuse when it comes to service delivery concerning residents.
Answer, can I confirm whether you're a farm owner yourself?
No, I'm not a farm owner, but I do have farmers around.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Let me ask the Lieutenant General then and bring the question to you. Thank you so much for that answer then from Polokwane. General, I know it's very difficult for you to speak about particular areas in which you're perhaps not based in. But having heard Billy Klaas and having heard Answer as well, your thoughts on how exactly we can do this right? He speaks a lot, especially Billy, he speaks a lot about collaboration and cooperation and holding hands through this process. What are your thoughts?
I think Billy is quite right in terms of cooperation, because I think there is a gap in terms of communication. To us, the crime that happened in any area has to be treated the same, irrespective whether it's a farm worker or whether it's a farmer. All of them, they have been affected by crime and they must receive the same treatment as supposed to be. So the issue of coordination is very important. And I will emphasize on the issue of the committees that we are having. We are having rural safety committees at a local level, as I've alluded. And in that committee, we are encouraging also the farm workers to be part of those committees because they will be able to raise their concerns also. So that committee is not only meant for the farm workers, for the farmers or any other person that is staying in the farm, but also the farm workers that will be affected by crime. They must also participate in those structures for us to be able to address some challenges that they will be facing in relation to crime.
Mr. Kombrink, we're hoping that you're back. Henry Kombrink is the regional chairperson for the TLU for South Africa in Gauteng. Mr. Kombrink, just tell me your situation. What is it that you're seeing on the ground, particularly when it comes to elements of stock theft, which is what the minister as well as some policing was speaking about today, and perhaps the severe needs that, some of the farmers you deal with are facing?
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And sorry for that technical hiccup on our side. You can hear me now?
Correct. Yes, we've got you now, loud and clear.
Okay. Sorry, I missed some of the comments that was made by Billy and by the General. But my perspective of this whole rural safety strategy is today the minister indicated that there's a 90% or something implementation throughout the country. And we on the ground, we as Farm Watch and community safety structures do not see that. It was, Billy mentioned the fact that there's resource problems and things like that. And that's what we find on ground level. There's police stations. There's not the rural safety officers that's supposed to implement the rural safety strategy. And the rural safety strategy is a proactive strategy. It's not a reactive strategy.
Yeah.
So in order to implement a proactive safety strategy in the rural communities, you need resources, you need manpower, you need vehicles, and not one of these guys that is appointed on station level as a rural safety coordinator, that's not a designated position in the police station. That person has to do a lot of other things. And we find that in many of these police stations, the vehicle that is given for rural safety is used for everything else on the police station as well. Some of the guys has come to me and said to me, listen, I have to ask the station commander, may I use my vehicle today because I have to go and do this and that and the other.
Wow.
So they're not really very earnest about implementing the strategy. And that affects us as rural communities a lot. Because if you don't have proactive, visible policing, because this is what the rural strategy is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a visible policing strategy where the guys would be out in the field being visible.
Yeah.
And there is not a police station that has got enough manpower to implement that.
Henry, do you think that it's also time then for some of the farmers themselves to be part of, I'm not going to call it policing forums, but certainly overwatch forums of some sort, or just, and I shudder to call it neighborhood, but really to be part of a way to help with the solutions? Are you part of any forums, any kind of suggestions like that?
When the commando system was dissolved, there was the farmers started with the Farm Watch system. It's like a neighborhood watch, but yes, it's a farm watch. And the farmers started with the Farm Watch system. It's like a neighborhood watch, but it's a farm watch. And it's like a neighborhood watch, but it's a farm watch. And it's like a neighborhood watch, but it's a farm watch. And the farmers started with the Farm Watch system. It's like a neighborhood watch, but it's a farm watch. And they have a lot of successes, and they do a lot of work. They work together with police, with the guys on police stations, and they work well together. They are. I must say, I said that there's problems on the police stations, but there's also a lot of good policemen out there that works with us on crime prevention.
Yeah.
But we are farmers. We are not policemen.
100%.
We are not security guys.
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, a farmer works from 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning till 5, 6 at night.
Yes.
And then it is expected of him to do policing as well. So I think it's a bit of an unfair situation.
Yeah.
Where the police or the government has actually created the problem by dissolving the commandos, by not giving enough resources for the police to do their job. So they are creating the problem. And then it is expected of us as farmers to do the work.
Billy, you were shaking your head a moment ago?
We must be very careful to give some people in societies, especially civilians, too many power in this thing. It is the duty of the government to protect us. It is the duty of the government to see that we are safe and we are in a safe environment. To give, especially this farm watch groups, and I'm speaking out of experience, to give them too much power, it is very dangerous. Because like in Wellington, just a few years ago, 2 years ago, there was this security company that operates on the farm roads, in the roads. And farm workers was not allowed to walk in that road, say, after 7 or when it is dark. They have that skop, skid and donor mentality, where they come to our people and they are assaulting them on the roads after I've stepped in. But no one wants to come to the front and make cases because they are scared of their works. They are scared of their environment or their homes they're loving. They're going to lose this. But we need to be very careful. The government needs to protect us. The police needs to do their job. And yes, these companies, these groups, these farm watch groups, neighborhood watch, and the private securities, they can take hands with the police to make our community safer. Yes, but the police must do the job, and the police must, be the lead in this groups, not these farm watch groups. Like in Piketberg, there is this farm watch group. There's now a thing that 2 bodies have been found of farm workers lying alongside the road. They've been found dead. There was an accident. They have been drove over. That is the story that was told.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, these cameras that is put up alongside the road by these farm watch groups doesn't work now. There's certain things in certain periods is now all of a sudden there's no memory of in there.
Yeah.
This kind of thing.
Okay.
Especially when it is to come to our farm workers.
Yeah.
And this needs to stop.
Okay, we've got Anonymous on the line then as well, Lieutenant General, before I get to you. Anonymous, perhaps your question, your thoughts?
No, I just want to comment also on the issue of stock theft. You know, this side where we're farming in Johannesburg South, the stock theft is very high. And the people who come, they come in groups, they come with automatic rifles. I think in the past 2 to 3 years, a brother of mine and other guys who got large livestock, they've lost more than 200-300 cattle.
Wow.
And I'm not joking. And you go to the police station, the likes of El Dorado Park, I've been there, we've been there, reported cases. They will tell you that they don't have enough to deal with those people. So to a certain degree, even the extension officers, they will tell you that they've been hijacked, etc. So, yeah, it's really bad. And when they come, I think if you can do your research in this area of Rietfontein, Olifantsvlei, Getier, and all those areas, is extremely high. And you know that they're going to come and take it.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. And they are looking for large volumes. You know, when you have 50, 60, those are the numbers. There have been cattle that have been slaughtered alongside the N1. And I don't know.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Yeah. Anonymous, thank you so much for that. Of course, the Rietfontein, the Deer area, all of that being Johannesburg South then as well. Then let's very quickly get to Tabang as well in Burgersfort. Lieutenant General, I'm going to ask you to respond only after the break. Apologies for that. But let's quickly take Tabang in Burgersfort.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well, Tabang. Thank you. Your thoughts, comments, questions?
Thank you so much. Yeah, my comment is that SAPS really need to win in this issue of stock theft. They need to properly structure the stock theft units across the country. Secondly, they need to capacitate with the right supervision. They need to look into currently how the stock theft units are operating, because mainly they only investigate cases after they are reported. There's no preventative initiative across all the stock thefts. I'm speaking as one of the farmers where actually my entire stock was stolen. But
Wow.
I've done my own research. I visited various auctions. You look at the level of lawlessness at the auctions, you realize that SAPS is actually just, I would say, neglecting the whole stock theft part of executing the mandate.
Yeah.
And what I want to advise is that simply where to start at all the fancies. If you would have a stock theft official per auction, in each auction we make sure that they oversee that process.
Yes.
If ever there are people who not even own cows, but they sell livestock, let there be proper investigation. Let them be arrested on the spot.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
last also, the farmers are part of this crime.
Yeah.
I want to mention this because they want to pay a cow of 15,000 for 5,000
Okay.
from some of these Nyaupe boys.
Yeah, Tabang, I think we ultimately, I mean, we get, I think I fully understand where you're coming from with this. And this is where we're going to have to get the Lieutenant General to then respond to it. And I'll hopefully just ask her to respond to it right after the short ad break. We're going to come back right after this. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining us again here on Newsfeed PM, the late edition. Then we're still talking about rural safety when it comes to farm attack concerns then that we have in the country. And while there are some safety plans that have been put forward by government, has any of this been working? We're speaking to Rural and Farm Workers Development Organization Executive Director Billy Claassen, Transvaal Agricultural Union Gauteng Chairperson Henry Kombrink, and Divisional Commissioner for the Visible Policing and Operations, Lieutenant General Marupeng Mamuteti. Do send us your comments as we've been showing you and having, of course, then 072-110-5584, calling us on 010-594-6010. Also engaging with us, of course, on X at Newzroom 405. Let's quickly read some of your WhatsApp messages then that have come through so far. Just one of them saying stock theft is a very serious. Just imagine a person that I know lost more than 35 cattle in his cattle, ended up passing Kruger National Park and the rangers shot all his cattle. I want to know if it's right for game rangers to kill all the cattle. Help us, General, please. My name is Thompson. Let's get to another WhatsApp then for you. Lesotho borders or citizens have been the main culprits for years in stock theft, and our government must take responsibility for treating it with kid gloves. That's Kalambazo with that WhatsApp message. The next one then from Bongani Khatebe in Protea Glen. Good evening, Arabile. I believe that the only thing to solve this problem is for the farming community, big-scale farmers, which is predominantly white, small-scale farmers, which are predominantly black, as well as farm workers, need to come together, collaborate, and treat each other as a community, build trust among themselves. This can be a solution because as we speak, they are so polarized. Final WhatsApp message then for you here from Anonymous. I believe that in areas of Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal bordering with Lesotho, there will always be a problem for as long as we continue staying and keeping illegal immigrants to look after our livestock. These people are the main facilitators of stock theft and other crimes in our country. In every rural area of the Eastern Cape, there are numbers of people looking after livestock for every household. What is the government doing about this? That message coming through from Anonymous. Lieutenant General Marupeng Mamuteti, I don't want this to seem like you have all the answers, especially when you're, divisional commissioner, particularly in the Highveld area. But let's talk about some of the elements you've been hearing here from Henry, from Billy, from some of our WhatsApp messages and the calls. Ultimately, everyone is speaking about needing more to be done, needing more boots on the ground, needing more funding ultimately as well. I mean, that's not something you haven't made note of, but clearly there needs to be a stepped up effort.
Yes, I agree with you. Hence, when we started with the meeting, I indicated that tomorrow the Minister of the Police and the National Commissioner will be meeting with the stock theft unit commanders as well as the stakeholders in Bloemfontein, especially with the provinces that are bordering Lesotho, as one of our viewers has indicated the challenge of Lesotho, of the provinces that are bordering with Lesotho, so that we can be able to just check exactly what is transpiring around the stock theft. We have more information, but we still have to get more information from the stakeholders so that we can be able to include whatever that we are doing with the review of the current strategy that we have developed. So also on the issue of the capacitation of the stock theft unit, the National Commissioner has already gave an instruction that we should look into the establishment of the additional stock theft unit in the country, especially with the provinces that are having a serious challenge of stock theft. So that is the study that is currently being unfolding. And in that regard, the issues of resources in terms of human and physical will also be taken into consideration. I must indicate that the bilateral that we're having with Lesotho continues, and also the minister, even this morning when we were in the portfolio committee, emphasized on the bilaterals. From this meeting that is going to be held tomorrow, that they're going to be having tomorrow, they will take further directions in terms of how are we going to engage further with Lesotho to address the challenges that we are facing around the stock theft.
I have to thank you so much for that time as well, and that response, Lieutenant General Marupeng Mamoteti. I think it helps to kind of get a clear sense and an understanding of where we're currently sitting. I'm going to just ask for closing comments, Billy and Henry. I only have 30 seconds for each of you, however, so I'm going to have to cut you if you do go on too long. Billy, just your closing comments. Were you happy with that response as well?
Yes, I'm happy with the response of the General. But for me, it is just, if the police want to work with us as organizations, farm work organizations, they need to be honest and we need to work together. When we took them on, they will hunt us like they hunt me, and I'm in court in and court out now for frivolous cases. We need to take hands. We need to take hands and join the fight against crime in our communities to make our, especially the Western Cape, a better place to work and live in so that we can all live together in harmony. But we need to take hands and get rid of this crime in our communities.
Henry, final words?
From agricultural side, we've always said that we are very happy and we believe that the rural safety strategy can work. But we need to implement it.
Yeah.
And the other problem that we sit with is that, just to come back to the stock theft, in the last financial year, there was 6,900 odd cases made of stock theft.
Yes.
And if you now go and look at the percentage of cases opened in relation to actual stock theft, it's only about 60%. So that 6,900 is way out in terms of reporting stock theft. So the problem is much bigger. But it comes down at the end of the day, as the General said, and we hope that this is going to materialize, is that we are going to get more resources on the ground to implement the strategy and to make our rural safety communities safer and support our farmers and our farm workers as well. Because it is not just the farm workers, the farmers. We are concerned because there's a synergy between the farmer and the farm workers. And the one can't get along, can't go forward without the other one.
Yeah.
So we've always been saying that they are just as important as any other worker.
Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more. And as you said, it's going to be about the efficiency of not just having put forward the conversation around having more boots on the ground, etc., but the efficient use thereof. And then communities playing a role in ensuring that, one, they're as safe as possible, putting in all the measures that they possibly can, then reporting any suspicious activity as well, and playing a part in what is community watching at the very least then, and then reporting that as best as possible then to police.